All right, one more time, good morning from me as well. I'm going to take the next 6 to 7 minutes, very quick minutes, to talk to you about a concept of ROX, which could and probably should be our new retail metric. So, my name is Ilona, and I'm the founder of a retail agency here in Helsinki called Werk, where I focus on concept and visual development for retail. Basically, I am very, very passionate about creating some more retail magic. All right. Start with a big question. What do you guys think is the most valuable gift people have to give nowadays? And a lot of you brands might be thinking, ooh, money. But no. Nowadays, it really is time. People have less and less time. And we all need to be very careful and mindful about what we do with people's time. So we could be saying, as a retailer, what are you really giving back to your customers in appreciation of this gift? I think it's a fair enough question. The landscape is changing so quickly. There's more happening in the last 5 years than did in the last 15, and we all know it. And the customer is changing so much that most of us don't actually have a clue what's going on. But what we do know is this multi-channel customer who's expecting a very seamless experience. They're more experience hungry than they ever have been before. We know that e-commerce is about speed and convenience. That is the need that e-commerce really is serving. And on the side of that, physical stores are all about the time spent. Henceforth, my first question. So, when the role of the physical stores are changing next to e-commerce, it's really not about product at the cheapest price possible. We all know the stories about free plastic buckets. I personally hope the time of that will be soon gone. But we know that the role is changing, and next to e-commerce, really retailers need to push the bar when it comes to in-store experiences. Just like shelves stacked full of stuff is not enough anymore. The omnichannel consumer is expecting more. So, one could be asking yourself, are you delivering on the promise that your brand is communicating and really fulfilling the expectation that the brands have? Are you creating an experience? Because that's what it is. So apparently, according to research, 86% of buyers would actually pay more, majority of your customers would pay more if you would be able to create that brand experience. But apparently, none of us are doing really well because only 1% consider that we're constantly reaching those targets and really meeting those customer expectations. Okay, why do you think that is? Why are we in the current world nowadays doing pretty poorly at meeting those customer experience expectations? I think the reason is this, that in retail, we're really used to looking at numerical things. You follow your classic ROIs, return on investment. You look at your classic KPIs, it's not enough when you're wanting to create in 2019 a really full, fat customer experience. Next to that, we need to have something else, an additional level called ROX. This is not a concept made up by me, I'm just sort of preaching the happy word here today. ROX means return on experience. It doesn't survive quite on its own. It's not enough to build a sustainable business and be following it, but it's a really good additional level next to your ROI. Something more, you've got your tangible, your numerical, and something slightly more subjective. What is ROX? Okay, it's a very difficult sentence, but I'll try to read it to you so maybe you'll understand. When you talk about ROX, you really talk about measuring a brand's ability to fulfill those customer expectations in those dimensions that bring value in that experience. So, put in very, very simple terms, are you delivering the experience your customers are really looking for? Yeah? Still following? Great. Nowadays, customers are balancing a huge number of elements that are part of their experience all the time. Cosmetics is a great example, a Finnish startup actually. It's a shame we couldn't get them here today, but an additional level of experience that I personally use all the time when I visit Sokos, for example, buying my personal hygiene. I use cosmetics to scan my products to find out the chemicals being used, etc., and make my purchase choice based on that. Something external becoming a part of the Sokos in-store experience. So you have to keep this in mind. Technology, what we're hearing here today here as well, it's something that's enabling your customers to curate their experience all the time. Additional levels are coming in that you need to be mindful of. So, how do you go about improving your ROX? Firstly, let's open our eyes and start understanding a 360, super holistic viewpoint of how your customer is moving across your omnichannel world, right? You won't be able to do anything with the classic Finnish mutu that we like to talk about in retail. If you don't know what mutu is, ask your friend. And identify in that path really those things that drive the experience for the customer. Stop doing things that your customers don't care about and focus on the things that they do. Be ready to adjust your focus. You might have really had a strategy of like stacking those shelves really full and it's all about the cheap product and quickly in and out. Maybe your customers really changed. Maybe that's not important anymore. So be ready to invest and focus on those parts of your organization that are really key in designing and delivering those experiences. And be brave, be ready to change. You need to internally be willing, especially, there's a lot of people here I know in those decision-making seats, so to say, be really brave to drive those parts of the organization and those behaviors internally that are key to creating those experiences. And they yield positive results as well. Why do we do that? Why it's really worth looking into this? Because like I said, customers will pay more. They're willing to pay more if you really deliver and exceed on those expectations, not just meet them, but maybe something more, maybe a bit more magic. And the results are there. Organizations that are actively taking steps to improve in all fields their customer experience, and I'm all about the positive in-store experience, they're really seeing good results. So it's worth doing. Yeah? So I'll remind you at the end, one more time. Don't be afraid to ask yourself at all times when you're developing, when looking into something new, whether it's tech, whether it's a new store concept, whether it's a new visual merchandising tool, whatever. Am I delivering the experience my customers are really looking for? Thank you so much for this time. If anyone's interested in hearing more about how to improve your in-store customer experience and about visual tools and how to really bring some magic to your retail, come and pull my sleeve. I would love to talk to as many of you as possible. But for now, I will move the microphone back to Richard. Thank you so much.